Hi, welcome back, Backstage Chatter fans. I, your host, Jackie Hardy, am so excited and honored to again come into your space and introduce to you Dallas's own Jaylon Crump. In this Broadway Dallas series, Crump speaks with Backstage Chatter about their excitement in having the leading role where they play Hermes in the 8 times Tony Award winning and Grammy Award winning musical Hadestown. Crump discusses what it's like to be a person of color having such a major role, and they also discuss the excitement in being able to perform back in their hometown as well as performing during Black History Month. Hadestown hits our fair city from February 25th through March 2nd at Dallas's Music Hall at Fair Park. You can go to broadwaydallas.org/tickets for ticket information. Thanks for watching. So thank you so much, Jaylon Crump, for being a part of our Backstage Chatter segment. Yeah,
Yes.
it's an honor to interview you and thank you for your time because I know, yes,
Thank you.
it's a grind.
Yes, yes.
That's right. And yeah, and so I always like to, Jalen, before I start our interview to kind of get into the role that you play is as ask if you don't mind introducing just quickly to our audience how you kind of got started in the performing arts, just to give a little background that led you to the stage. And I will admit, I looked at a article, I think it was in Spokane, Washington, and I
Mhm.
love the part of the article where it talked about that you had fibbed to your parents, I think, to do an audition. I thought that was so cute because,
I
yeah,
did.
yeah, I know that you didn't start immediately, right, with this
Yeah.
performing arts. So, yeah, I would love for you to kind of share that.
Yeah. I grew up like singing in church, just like to start. I'm from Dallas. So I went to Antioch Fellowship Missionary Baptist
Well,
Church.
come on,
Uh,
Enya.
growing up and I sang in church and everything. And I used to sing with my grandma at her church as well, growing up. So I always knew that I wanted to sing. And then I always kind of had like the bug for dancing. I would watch like music videos and just try to like replicate what they were doing, and different things like that. And how I like really got into performing was the story that you mentioned was that I lied to my parents and told them
Just
that
a
I had to
little
just a little bit. I
that's
told them that I told them that I had detention, or like I told them that I had to stay after school for like mandatory tutoring or something like that. I'm pretty sure I told them just something, and I stayed after school and I auditioned for my first play in high school. This was my freshman year of high school. And after that, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna get it. So like I'll never have to tell them that I did
right.
this. And then I got a part in it and I was like, oh. So then I like told my parents, I was like, I actually that day that I told you, and they were like, don't lie, but go ahead.
You could just say you were acting, right? That was your first
Exactly.
initial.
And that's what it was. And
That's right.
my parents are both police officers,
Yeah.
so there was getting nothing past them.
Right? They were probably masters of interrogation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
But yeah,
love
that's how I started. And then after that, I went to college, and then unfortunately I wasn't able to like stay in college just because of like my financial place. But I'm very glad that I had a lot of like good people around me that were able to like lift me up and able to like keep the ball rolling. And luckily I was able to book my first like big job whenever I did the rent tour a couple of years ago. And then since then I've
wow.
just been working consistently. Yeah. So
Man,
it's been a very grateful
yeah,
experience.
that speaks to your talent. Listen, you know, and yeah, and just your tenacity, right? To go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I always love hearing everyone's journey because I always say this all the time. There's no conventional way, right? You know, if it's meant, it will happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So thank you for sharing that. I know that somebody out here listening to that, that will be encouraging to them. And it's never too late,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Never.
that's right. Yeah, and then
Yeah,
yes, you hail from D-Town. So
I
you are
do.
home. You are home.
Hmm.
And so I love to ask you this because I did you probably know this. We are minority owned and operated news and
Wow,
entertainment media organizations proudly.
that's amazing.
Yes, yes, thank you. And so we're always excited to speak with cast members in our Broadway Dallas series that look like the majority of our audience, right? And so my question
Yeah,
to you is, have you really taken in the excitement of being a person of color in a leading role? Like that's huge, Jaylon. And
yeah,
then not only that, you're back in your hometown and it's Black History Month. Like seriously,
yes, yes.
can you kind of speak to all of that? Have you really had a chance to take that all in?
I pinch myself every day.
I
The
bet.
the fun thing about Hadestown is that it can be played by everybody, but this role uses so much AAVE. It's so inherently black. Like it's
Oh,
just like
wow.
has so much like has so many moments in it that you can, I guess, like really use our culture and the
Yeah.
things that, like just like different things that we would say to each other and just like,
Some of
as,
those,
like,
yeah,
like, fuel.
colloquialisms.
I have always like dreamed of this. Leading a show in a Broadway national tour is like something I've always dreamed of. I didn't think I was going to be doing it this young, and I didn't know if opportunities like that were going to arise for me, seeing as I look like this. Like, I mean, there's just like not as like a little black kid in Texas. Like sometimes, the it's so far away. You think it's so far away, and it's been such a special experience to
Yeah.
be able to have me as a black person as like the head of this production. It's been absolutely incredible, and the amount of like messages and like good like letters and all kinds of things that I get all the time that were just like my daughter, my son, everybody was just like so inspired by you, and they want to do what you do. Like the amount of like black families that I meet at the stage door, and I'm just like, oh, like
Yeah.
keep going. Like I just it's it's crazy whenever sometimes you don't realize that you've become the inspiration, because I'm still looking up to other people, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like for
Sure.
some people are looking up to me, and
That's right.
yeah, and
Absolutely.
it's been
Your
absolutely,
dreams realized for that, right? That
yeah,
person sitting in that audience that
yeah,
may not feel like, is there a place for me? And you are affirming that it is. So I love you sharing that. Thank you. And we're proud of you. Listen,
thank you.
yeah, we sure are. And kind of even speaking to because you play Hermes, right?
I
And
do.
yes, this iteration of Hadestown. And you kind of have a two-part role, if you will, because you're kind of the narrator
Yeah,
and right, the messenger god as you know,
yeah,
in Greek mythology. Yeah, and then of course you are the guide to Orpheus in the underworld. And so
yeah,
my question to you is how do you interchange the two, right? Because
yeah,
that's that's a lot. It's you're in essence playing two roles. And so
yeah.
do you change the inflection of your voice? Like, are there little things that you try to do to kind of draw that distinction?
Yeah, whenever we were in rehearsals, we our amazing director, Keenan Tyler Oliphant, who is from South Africa, and he's amazing, amazing. And one thing that I learned in the process, and one thing that I like took in that he told me and that I had to take into myself is knowing the balance between when you're talking to the audience and when you're talking to a person. And that's what like I always think. Also, my relationship with the audience is very different than my relationship with Orpheus, my relationship with Eurydice, my relationship with Persephone. So thinking about how I would interact with, it's kind of like if you were to talk to your mom on the couch versus
Yeah.
give a speech. Like,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like in front of 100 people, you would talk different, you would say things different. So I would say that my inflection does change, but also the way that I approach certain things whenever I'm talking to Eurydice versus talking about Eurydice is just like very, very different. And it's honestly was such a hard thing for me to balance in the beginning. And still, it's something that, like, I mean, as an actor, you're always evolving. You never want to be stagnant
Yeah.
in your growth and making sure that you're giving the best show possible, especially with this show, is that making sure you're giving like a unique audience experience because the show is so audience interactive.
And
So
does it give you, do you have the creative license to kind of add lib if it deems
yeah,
appropriate? Yeah.
yeah. Every now and then, so like I
Okay.
obviously you have to like stick to like the script, but every now and then, like the specifically at the beginning, like there are some times where I walk out in the silver suit. Some people will be like, "Woo, woo," and
I
I'll be
know
like,
that's right.
"I'm
That's right. Add
I
your
like to see it.
personality. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what Hadestown is. I mean, it's
Yes.
just so one thing that our director Keenan once again told us in the beginning, I'm so gracious for this, is that he told me, he was like, I don't want you to be Andre. I don't want you to be Andre the Shields. I don't want you to be Lilius White. I want you to be Jaylon. What
Wow.
does Jaylon bring to the Hermes? And for a while, it's so hard whenever you have big names like Andre the Shields and Lilius White and John Brion, like people like such big names that played this role before me, that and I'm also the youngest to ever play the role. So I'm
Wow.
looking up and I'm like, okay, like how do I change this? And the one thing like what that Keenan told us, he was like, you're not his dad. You don't have to act like his dad. Andre was his dad. You know what I mean? Was Orpheus's dad. You don't have to act like his dad. You can be something else. So
Oh,
I feel like I'm kind of like the uncle. Like,
oh,
you know what
I
I mean?
love that.
Like, yeah, I'm kind of like just like, the uncle or the auntie. Everybody has like that person that's like, okay, I'm not gonna tell your mama, but I'll take you out for ice cream.
Right.
If you do your homework, all week,
That's right.
I'll
The
take
fun
you.
uncle.
Yes,
That's
yes.
right.
I feel like I'm like the
Yeah.
fun uncle that's
I
also
love
gonna
it.
slap you on the wrist and be like,
Yeah.
stop giving your mama trouble, but
Right.
so
Yeah.
also fun at the
But
same time.
relatable. No, that
Yeah.
was awesome. Yeah. And do you have any favorite like numbers that you perform personally or that is a part of the show? Or any favorite elements or parts of the story that you love? Yeah, I'd love to get your
My favorite part of the story is whenever I have to issue the challenge to Orpheus and Eurydice, because the another thing about Hermes is that Hermes has told the story a million times. This is not it's not foreign to Hermes. In the beginning, you find out in Road to Hell, in the very beginning, Hermes tells you it's a sad song, but we're gonna sing it anyway. Hermes knows exactly what's gonna happen the entire time, and that's the reason why they are the messenger god and the guide. Where that begins and ends is the beginning and all the way up to whenever I have to issue the challenge to Orpheus. I don't want to give away too much, but when I have to issue the challenge to Orpheus and Eurydice, after that, Hermes hopes that it won't turn out the same. We
Mm,
told the story a million times, but
yes.
we hope that it won't turn out the same. And every single time that I issued the challenge to them, I love setting the stakes. And the look that Brian and Meg give me, who play Orpheus and Eurydice every single night, is just like so like, okay, like we have to do this. I'm like, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. Even though I'm a person, I'm Jaylon. I know how we have to tell the
Right.
story this every night. But
Right.
as Hermes, like, you kind of like gaslight and convince yourself, like you sink into your character so much, you're like, no, 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 no.
Be
This time,
different.
this time he's not gonna do it. This time he's not gonna, you know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, that is the bedrock of hope, right? It springs
Ah,
eternal. That's
absolutely.
right. And I know because you are a lead actor, so you have a lot of, I'm sure, press junkets that you're going to at one after another, and I want to respect your time. But I do want to ask this last question, if I
Absolutely.
can, Jalen. I read also in that same newspaper, I think the Spokesman Review, that you said that this is a story that everyone needs to hear. And I wanted you to end with that. Why? I know it touches on a message of belonging, and we mentioned hope,
Yeah.
love, security. Yeah. And so I would love for you to just share with our audience why it's something they need to see.
Yeah, I think that this show celebrates community, it celebrates hope, it celebrates love. And I think it's a story that everybody needs to see, especially in the political climate that we're in. And I also think that it is such a show that people need to see people who look like us
Mm.
up there as gods, as these beautiful gods. The fact that we have me, who is playing Hermes, like decked out in silver, just beautiful, gorgeous. Namisa, who is our Persephone, is a South African full-bodied Black woman who is gorgeous, who slays and just does so good she just encapsulates it every single night. And that's something that people need to see, that people need to see
Those
people like
images.
us. Yes, they need to see those images and know that these people can also be gods. So it doesn't always have to be white, Hispanic, like lighter colored people. It can also be people who look like us.
Mm.
And also I think that, like I was saying, in the political climate that we're in right now, this show touches on so many things like workers' rights. It touches on so many things about politics. It touches on so many things about just the state of our world. And what's crazy is that it was written before all of this was even happening. So it's so transcendent through time. There's a song in it called Why We Built the Wall, which is inherently problematic. But it was written in 2006, before Trump was president, before all of it.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy how so many words and
Yeah.
everything, how sometimes we can become
Life imitates art. Amen.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
so good. No,
yeah.
Jaylon. Wow. Listen, kudos to you.
Thank
I
you.
am so excited for you and what lies ahead. Yes.
Thank you.
And enjoy it. Be home and take it all in. Are you going to have family? I'm sure that will be able to come.
Absolutely. My all my parents, my grandma, so
That's
much family,
right. The whole
friends.
Antioch Baptist Church, huh?
Okay, absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
love that. It's such a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much. And I wish
Thank
you
you.
all the best.
It's been a pleasure as well. Thank you so
Same
much.
here. Take care, Jaylon. Bye bye. Well, Backstage Chatter fans, we hope now you are excited about seeing Dallas native and our own Jaylon Crump after this interview. Remember, you can see the talented Jaylon and the entire brilliant cast of what Vogue deemed as your next musical theater obsession, Hadestown, starting February 25th through March 2nd at Dallas's Music Hall at Fair Park. Remember, you can go to broadwaydallas.org/tickets for showtimes and ticket information. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you at the theater. Bye.